With political correctness and censorship more prevalent than ever, one man's legacy stands above everyone else. Lenny Bruce. I'm One Bad Comic, and this is Vinyl Snacks. What's up, vinyl heads? Welcome to another episode of Vinyl Snacks. I'm your host, One Bad Comic. Thank you guys so much. Episode 3 of Vinyl Snacks, guys. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Today we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna talk about a very special album that I really hold very dear to me because I'm a stand-up comedian. I've been doing stand-up 15 years. So one of the types of vinyl genres that I like to collect is stand-up comedy. So what better way to start it off than the guy who set it off for everyone? Before Eddie Murphy, before Richard Pryor, before George Carlin, there was one man named Lenny Bruce, and this is the album that we're going to be talking about today. This album right here is called What I Was Arrested For by Lenny Bruce. If you guys don't know who Lenny Bruce is pretty much the founder of freedom of speech for stand-up comedians to be able to do and say whatever we want. Lenny Bruce was actually born Leonard Alfred Schneider on October 13th, 1925 in Minola, New York. I believe I'm saying it right. And so he was 1925. That's a long time ago. At the age of 16, he decided to kind of pretty much run away from home, and he joined the Navy. So I believe he was in the Navy for about 3 years, and during that time, I guess he got tired of it and he was trying to get out. And what he ended up doing is while he was on the ship, he would dress up in drag. So he would kind of dress up like the girl shipmates, and I guess he would be making he'd be making his shipmates laugh and stuff like that. His commanding officers found out about it, and he pretty much made himself get kicked out of the Navy because he told his medical officers that he was having homosexual thoughts. So I guess at the time, you couldn't be gay in the Navy, which I don't know. I guess they're called seamen for a reason, but I guess I don't know. But eventually it worked, and he was honorably discharged from the Navy, and that pretty much set him off on his journey into stand-up comedy. He talks a lot about being pretty much what's it called, like conscious stream thinking. So he would kind of go up there and just kind of speak his mind, almost like I said, jazz. He was a big jazz fan, so he kind of wanted to flow the way jazz flows, but he wanted to put that into his stand-up. So he would just kind of flow, and through that, a lot of stuff would come out that was very, very offensive, and people would get upset. And a lot of people would laugh. So through that, he started gaining this reputation as this risky comedian that was saying these things that you were not supposed to say, which ends up getting him into pretty much a lot of trouble. The first time is in San Francisco, okay, on October 4th, 1961. Lenny Bruce is doing a comedy show, and he says the word cocksucker on stage. Little does he know that there's 2 off-duty officers in the crowd, and they hear him say this. They leave the club after the show, turn around, go back, and arrest Lenny Bruce. And they take him to jail for obscenity. And they charge him with it, and he gets found. They end up throwing the case out, but it starts the thing where they start attacking him for that. But again, it was because he had said the word cocksucker. And in this specific album, the reason why I like it so much is because it has every single bit that pretty much got him arrested for it. And if you look in the back of the album here, it pretty much tells you a timeline of all the things that he gets arrested for, along with the bits, the title of the bits, and a small little intro of the album. So it's pretty neat to actually hear all these bits that ended up getting him arrested. Some of the things that some of the places that he got arrested ends up getting banned in Australia. So the entire country of Australia bans him, along with London, who also they bar him from getting into England, which is insane, right? Like, you would never think that a comedian would be in so much trouble for it. So yeah, this is why I kind of like this album, because it has so many interesting things. One of the tracks that I recommend is one called Blah Blah Blah, which is actually Lenny Bruce's, pretty much his perspective of what happened the first time he ever got arrested for his performance. And he pretty much says blah 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 because in the bit he can't say what he got arrested for because he's performing on stage. So if he says it, he's gonna get arrested again. So instead of saying cocksucker, he says blah blah blah, and he tells the whole story about how he gets arrested, gets taken to court, and in the court he starts, the people that arrest him, they go to the judge. They're like, Your Honor, we brought this guy because he said blah blah blah. And then the judge says, like, he said blah blah blah, and they're like, yeah, he said blah blah blah. And then he just goes, no, they said blah blah blah. And what he's saying is that they all were saying cocksucker. So they were all saying the word that Lenny Bruce was arrested for. So it's such a cool and funny way to go about pretty much exposing the hypocrisy of the times that Lenny Bruce was going through. What's up, Vinyl Heads? Thank you very much for joining me on episode 3 of Vinyl Snacks. Quick announcement, big shout out to nctees.com studios for making banners, making shirts. So if you have a business or you're trying to get your word out and you're trying to get some merch going, make sure you guys hit them up. That's nctees.com. Also, I have some slots available. So if you have a business and you want to get the word out of your business, let me know. Hit me up. I'll gladly make commercials for you. I'll put you guys on the show and I'll give you guys some spots. And you guys can message me directly on my email at onebadcomic01@gmail.com. Let's get back to the episode. Then when they couldn't get him to shut up, because all he had to do was just stop doing the jokes. He could have just switched and done other type of material, but he would refuse. So in refusing that, he was having issues getting booked. Once they knew that he couldn't, that arresting him wasn't going to stop him, the government started fining the comedy clubs. So the comedy clubs at that point started getting fined, and they were getting in trouble because they were booking Lenny Bruce. So once that happened, then the comedy clubs were like, well, we can't really, book you anymore because of them getting fined and their licenses were being taken away. So it got really bad for him to the point where all his financial woes, especially having to fight all these cases all over the country, he'd have to pay his lawyers and all that type of stuff. So it really took a financial toll on Lenny Bruce. And I believe on August 3rd, 1966, they found Lenny Bruce dead in his apartment. And they found him of an overdose of heroin, which was super sad, to see such an amazing comedian that still had so much more. Like, if you listen to his material, a lot of it is him kind of exploring and trying to find his voice. So we really didn't get to see the end product of a comedian like Lenny Bruce. We didn't get to see him to progress like the way Richard did or George Carlin, that went after him because of what he had to go through to allow those types of comedians to say what they had to say or wanted to say. In 2003, though, New York had arrested him for obscenity in the 60s. And in 2003, the governor of New York pardoned Lenny Bruce for the charges that they had him for, and pretty much apologized to him and considered him pretty much like a fighter of freedom of speech. So in the end, I guess it's a sad, it's bittersweet ending for somebody like Lenny Bruce to eventually kind of get his dues. I think freedom of ideas and expression is a good thing, whether you agree with it or you don't. I think that we all have to be able to tolerate each other's opinions. Obviously, you don't want anybody to hurt anybody or anything like that, because there's already laws that protect that, so I don't think that we need more restrictions on our language. I think that dumbs us down and it keeps us from learning from one another, but again, that's just my opinion. What are your opinions? I'd love to know what you guys think about freedom of speech and what's going on in today's society with all this censorship and language and political correctness, all that type of thing. I'd love to know. Let me know in your comments if you think freedom of speech is a dangerous thing or if it's a good thing. Also, if you guys are new or you're just subscribing, make sure you guys let me know that you're subscribed in the comments and you will be entered. I believe next week I give my very first record out to a subscriber. I'm going to put you in a little wheel. I'm going to spin it. I'm going to take your name out. And if your name pops up, I'm sending you a record from my own personal collection. So make sure you guys sign up, subscribe, and let me know how you feel, guys. And again, thank you very much for coming out to my third Vinyl Snacks episode, baby. Take care, ya bad mofos.